Well, I've been watching election campaigns, covering them for a long time, but my friend's been covering them a bit longer. Ray Hurd joins me now from Toronto. Ray, you've covered campaigns, as we've talked before, as both a journalist and on the inside as an advisor, whether it was to John Turner or even later an informal advisor to other political leaders. How are you rating this campaign? You know, I keep saying, look, the national numbers don't mean a lot. You've got to look at the regionals. But even within the regionals, I say no one has a clear majority yet, but I'm still not ready to write Justin Trudeau off. I think he's doing well enough in Toronto to stay in the game.
I think he's got a long way to go. Basically, Canadians believe that Mulcair and especially Harper have what the Greeks call gravitas, which is weight. They still see Justin as a bit of a lightweight, and when you see the latest polls, Justin is suffering on that issue. Harper may be a bit boring and straight. Mulcair could get a bit angry, but I think that those two have more qualities of gravitas rather than another Greek word, charisma. Justin has charisma, he lacks gravitas. His father had charisma and gravitas. That's the difference.
So you could take him seriously as a leader. I was hearing somebody the other day say, I like the guy well enough, but I can't take him seriously as a leader. And this is someone that has voted Liberal predominantly their whole life.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a sidebar that's important here, Brian. Kathleen Wynne said yesterday she would work with Prime Minister Harper or Prime Minister Mulcair. That's a change of tune. She has been attacking Mulcair and especially Harper to support her protege, Justin Trudeau. And I think the fact she said that yesterday indicates to me that even Kathleen Wynne is worried that Justin cannot get the most votes of the three major parties.
Look,
no one's getting a majority right now.
Okay, here's how I see it based on the polls. As I say, national polls mean nothing. You've got to look at the regionals. And so the Liberals in every poll doing really well in Atlantic Canada, the New Democrats doing really well in Quebec, the Conservatives, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, they will dominate. So we're talking Ontario and BC. The NDP are ahead in BC. Some polls are putting the Liberals ahead in Ontario. That means they're breaking out into the 905. They're not just downtown Toronto anymore. So I know Conservatives are starting to worry about where things will go in Toronto. So I don't see the Liberals actually winning, but I see them spoiling it for the other two, because the other two, the NDP or the Conservatives, if they get a good break in Ontario and BC, either one of them could form a government. The Conservatives, I think, have a better chance at a majority government, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, I don't think, for the NDP if things break their way over the next several weeks. But right now, the Liberals, despite not doing well outside of Atlantic Canada and the Toronto area, are starting to grow enough to be a headache.
But there's a problem in what I call the greater Toronto area. If you're talking about downtown ridings, even downtown where I live, I live in Rosedale. The NDP has done so much better that I think it's going to be a tight three-way race in Greater Toronto. And Jason Kenney, who is the last surviving senior cabinet minister Harper has, the rest have all jumped ship. I think it could be such a close three-way race in Toronto that the real issue is which of the parties gets out the voters. And I can see the NDP taking the two ridings that used to be University Rosedale, they're now two ridings. I can see the NDP taking that riding, or those ridings now, because it's two, from the Liberals. But the real problem is twofold. Firstly, Harper has good news on the economy now. He has reported a surplus, where Justin's accusing him of having a deficit. Secondly, his policy, which is a prudent policy, on allowing Syrian refugees into Canada is supported by more voters than the views or the generous views or the liberal views of the other two parties. So he's got that on his side. And the other thing that I said to you several weeks ago, and I'll say it again, Brian, we've still got over a month to go till the election. I think it's 33 days as of today, okay? In those 33 days, I think tragically and sadly, domestic terrorism is likely to happen in Canada. If that happens, it's over because the Canadian voters are worried about domestic terrorism, and Justin is a hypocrite here. We know where Harper stands on ISIS. Harper is against the mission to destroy ISIS, and he's against the anti-terrorism bill. Justin voted for Harper's anti-terrorism bill, and he admits he was, quote, naive, unquote, but he's against the mission. So here's a guy who is against fighting the terrorists, but he supports a law to deal with the terrorists. That is Monty Python stuff.
All right. Okay, I'm going to say again that I sincerely hope we don't face another domestic terror attack, although we have seen them in other countries just before elections. I famously remember Spain pulling out of the coalition in Iraq because of the train bombing in Madrid. But I hope we don't experience that. But you mentioned that the poll done by our friend Daryl Bricker and John Wright at Ipsos, and it showed Canadians are more likely to support Harper's plan on Syrian refugees than Trudeau's plan of 25,000 by the end of the year. People are wary. What I found fascinating was 57% said they agreed with increasing the military contribution to fight ISIS. This is something that the other two parties are against. They've both said, no, we'll bring the fighter jets home right away. And yet, 57%, they don't just say, yeah, I back Stephen Harper's plan. 57% say, let's do even more with the military to combat these guys. That tells you that perhaps the other two leaders are offside of their own base when it comes to this issue.
And the so-called media party is on Justin and Mulcair's side here. Most national columnists, they support, but the real issue is...
Ray, I've been out with the reporters asking the questions, and I swear some of them would just say, let's bring the entire Syrian population into Canada. Yeah. They don't even think about what that would do to Syria.
And ISIS has apparently infiltrated. Most of the refugees are hardworking, Kurdish, I love the Kurds, by the way, professionals and highly skilled workers. But sadly, ISIS has infiltrated some of their ranks, and that's not surprising. No. When you look at the numbers, when you look at 800,000 going to Germany, there will be a few bad apples 72% in the barrel.
72% are men. Most of them are fighting age. That tells you that whether it's ISIS or members of the Syrian Free Army, there are questions there. Let's turn to the economy. That's the issue that the Globe debate is on this week. You mentioned the surplus. Mulcair came out and said, this surplus is good news, and then went on to say how he'll use it to continue to invest in what he wants to invest. Trudeau decided that he was going to, damn the numbers, forget what Finance Canada said, the Finance Department. He still says we're in a recession and that the surplus is fake, and it was done because Stephen Harper cut spending to veterans and Aboriginals and seniors, even though the stats don't back that up. And he's still going on like that. Does this man know how to read a balance sheet?
No. He says budgets balance themselves. You remember that one? Mm-hmm. Okay. He says that he's been advised by a guy called Jerry Butts. Jerry Butts is in trouble today because he showed a picture of Harper at the UN, and he put it on Twitter, implying that no one showed up to watch Harper. Well, the fact is, when David Cameron and the French President Hollande and Chrétien and Paul Martin spoke to the UN General Assembly, they had small audiences too.
So most leaders do.
This is typical of how Butts and Justin change the facts, and Butts sent me, Ray Hurd, he's blocked me on Twitter, okay? Mm. But he sent me an email yesterday saying that the attack ads the Tories are taking out against Justin are despicable, and then he asked me to donate money to Justin Trudeau.
Well, that's because you're a
do his
liberal,
own
Ray.
attack at.
You're a liberal. Okay, we're almost out of time, so I want to end on this. Someone's been, someone was saying to me the other day, where have all the red Tories gone? And my reaction was, forget the red Tories. Most of them are still in the Conservative fold. What happened to the blue Liberals? Blue Liberals like yourself, have they abandoned the party as Justin tries to outflank the NDP on the left? He's the third leader, in my view, to try and say, forget about the liberal centrist past, let's go to the left of the NDP.
I think that there are lots of blue liberals, I call them business liberals, like me, who are so upset and angry with how Justin Trudeau demonized and blacklisted candidates like Christine Innes in Toronto for what her husband is alleged to have said. There's no proof he said it. So Justin has blacklisted and blackballed, if you want to use that term, liberal candidates that we like, and I think a lot of us will either sit on our hands or strategically vote NDP. I couldn't vote for Mulcair for only one reason. He opposes the necessary war against ISIS. That's the major strike a lot of blue liberals, business liberals like me will have, is he says he would withdraw. And by the way, Brian, this is worth discussing. Justin and Mulcair both say they would withdraw our Air Force fighters from the Obama-led mission against ISIS. Can you imagine insulting the lame duck, progressive president of the United States of America? That would insult him, and it would insult our British allies, our Australian, New Zealand allies. The English-speaking democracies were united on the mission against ISIS, so were the French. But Justin and Mulcair want to, as cowards, retreat from a Western democratic alliance.
And they want you to think it's Harper's war. Ray, we got to leave it there. Thanks for coming by. We'll chat soon.
Brian.